World-famous violinist and conductor André Rieu joins Euromex as the show goes out on the road.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this very special edition of Euromax, where we have a very special guest co-hosting the program with us. And today it is Maestro André Rieu, conductor and musician. Thank you so much for having us today and welcoming us in your beautiful home.
It's fantastic to have you here.
Thank you. We're in Maastricht. We're out of the studio. Mr. Rieu, you know, you're called the King of the Waltz. How do you accept this title?
Of course. It's good to have. And it's you who gave it to me, the media, not myself. But I can live with it.
Well, you come from a musical background. I've read quite a bit about your musical history. Was there ever any doubt in your life that you would become a musician?
No, that's true. My mother told me I was 5, I think you have good hands for the violin, so here's the violin. And that was the start. And I attended to all the concerts of my father, and so I saw the whole classical music. I heard the whole classical music. But the waltz was always there, always, because he loved to play in the encores waltzes. And as a small boy, I was sitting there, you know, the whole concert, Rachmaninoff, Beethoven, whatever. Everybody was so serious. And then suddenly, at the waltz, the people started to smile and to be happy. And I think that was the beginning that I was in love with the waltz.
All right, we are going to come to the waltz, but actually, Maestro Rieu has sold more concerts, I believe, than pop star Beyoncé, and you've managed to turn your passion for classical music into a multi-million euro business. So let's take a closer look at the life and career of André Rieu.
André Rieu, the king of the waltz, lives in the Dutch city of Maastricht. He delights fans the world over. It's classical music as a show event, with plenty of surprises and lavish sets. His co-workers describe him as strict, but with a keen sense of humor. He's not just a violinist. He leads the largest private orchestra in the world, with a permanent ensemble of about 50 musicians.
Listen, the trumpet sounds different this time. Let me hear the other one.
Do it.
Yes, the other one sounds more Italian.
André Rieu was born in 1949 into a family of musicians in Maastricht. He started learning to play the violin when he was 5. Later, he played with various Dutch ensembles. 1995 saw his international breakthrough. He performed at halftime at the Champions League football match between Bayern Munich and Ajax Amsterdam. Afterwards, his sales went through the roof.
Strauss & Co. van André Rieu.
But his elaborate stage shows threatened to become an obstacle in his path to success. In 2008, he had a life-sized replica of Vienna's Schönbrunn Palace built as a set and shipped to Australia in more than 200 containers. The colossal undertaking pushed him to the edge of bankruptcy. That's all history now, and the Rieu venture is back in the black. His tours take him all over the world, so there are always 4 copies of his sets. Several copies are also made of the custom-tailored costumes he designs himself. André Rieu has turned his love of classical music into a €1 million business, and this waltz king is living his own fairy tale.
So it seems that one of the keys to your success, at least what I've observed, is your sense of humor and your interaction with your audiences. You conduct with your back to your musicians, but facing your audience, and you often have your soloists interact in a funny way, and then the audience reacts. How did you come to do this? How did you come to this idea?
I think it was inside me. Again, back to my mother, she said always to me, Andre, don't look the people into the eyes. That's not polite. But I think that's life. When I don't look you into your eyes, I mean, how can I make contact with you? So that's what I do with my whole audience.
Now, your Johann Strauss Orchestra you founded in 1987. You were already a professional musician working, you had already established your career more or less. What inspired you to create the orchestra?
Because of my colleagues in the so-called classical orchestras. They were sitting there playing their notes and complaining about it's too hot, it's too cold, I have not enough money, when is the next holiday? Nobody spoke about the music. And then Marjorie, my wife, she saw me coming back from the rehearsal every day more unhappy, and she said, I earn the money for you, and you follow your dream, because that was my own orchestra.
Yeah, it's a great partnership too. You're still with her.
Yes, yeah, still, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I always dreamt to marry a wife and that I would be working with. So not that she would be a dentist and I'm a musician. No, I wanted to do everything together, and that's what we still do.
You're able to get people to attend classical music concerts that may never do that. I mean, what is your secret method, really?
I think the secret is that when we play classical music, we don't adapt it to the great audience by putting a beat on a Beethoven or something, We play it like it should be played, but in a whole context that they accept it more, with humor.
Okay, you helped us put this program together today, and one of the subjects that you chose was a report on Rome. And why do you like Rome so much?
First of all, because that's my holiday. Once a year, we go 3 days to Rome with the whole family. And secondly, because I'm very fascinated by the Romans, how they created all these things they could create in that time. And I would like to think big like they did, but without blood. They did everything with blood and cruelty. Yeah. And I would like to think big, but with love.
Okay. All right, we would like to take our viewers on a tour through the city of love. I think that's a fair designation for Rome. And we're going to do like the Romans do, on a Vespa.
If you want to see all the sights of Rome, you'll need plenty of time. This city has more than 2,700 years of history. And that's evident wherever you look. Art historian Valerio Venezi is a tour guide in Rome. His company, Roma Mirabilia, offers tours on Vespa scooters.
Okay, andiamo.
These typical Italian scooters are ideal for weaving through the busy traffic in Rome. We pass all the main sites, like the Colosseum, which dates back to around 80 AD.
There are two things I like about driving a Vespa around Rome. Firstly, I like the sound of the engine. And secondly, I realize how many beautiful places there are. I drive past the Castel Sant'Angelo and St. Peter's Basilica, through all the little streets and past the fountains, and I think Rome is fantastic.
The Roman Forum. It was the centerpiece of ancient Rome, and today a key area for excavation. The Forum gives an idea of what life was like in Rome in the days of Julius Caesar and Emperor Augustus.
Rome would like to be both an ancient and a modern city, but whenever we start digging, we find a Roman villa or a capital. We just have to accept all of Rome being a museum, so it can only adapt to modern times in a limited way.
One of the advantages of driving through Rome on a Vespa is that it's easy to escape the traffic jams. The Janiculum Hill offers a welcome haven and the best views of the city.
After a hard day's work, we locals from Rome like to come here to relax. And on Sundays, we visit the many parks you can see from up here. Back there, we see the low-lying dome. That's the dome of the Pantheon, which is around 2,000 years old. Behind that, to the left, is the white church with the two towers. That's Trinità dei Monti, which stands above the Spanish Steps. And then there's the Villa Medici.
It might be a good idea to hit the tourist sites in highest demand early in the morning or late in the evening. After just one day of riding around Rome on a Vespa, it's clear we need more time if we wanted to see all of Italy's capital city.
So when you are in Rome, I mean, you're famous. Can you walk around like a typical tourist, or do people come up to you and want your autograph?
I must laugh because once we were there and the Pope was coming to a certain place, waiting, and I was standing there giving autographs, and then the Pope came and all the people asked, who is that? Who is that man next to Andre?
Oh, okay. So you're more famous than the Pope.
No, I'm making a joke, but it was.
Now, when you're on the road quite a lot, is it
Yeah.
difficult to follow a routine? I mean, especially in terms of food. You know, are you a big fan of Italian cuisine?
I am, and because we have our own cooks on the road. Yeah, and that has several reasons. In the beginning, we didn't have our cooks, and then they knew, André Rieu is coming, so let's serve Wiener Schnitzel. And the next city we came, let's serve Wiener Schnitzel. So we were eating a whole week Wiener Schnitzel. So to avoid that, we said, okay, we have our own cooks, and it's healthier, and you don't have to wait and sit.
Right. Speaking of Wiener Schnitzel, I also know you're a fan of Vienna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
And this is where Johann Strauss II more or less perfected the waltz in the form that we know it. Okay, so we know your music is about the waltz more, but do you dance the waltz?
I dance? No, let me play.
Okay, you prefer to play. Vienna is essentially where the waltz was made popular 180 years ago, and in today's day and age, people are still dancing it, aren't they?
Yes, happily. You know, every night when we give a concert, and at the end we play the Danube. And then I don't tell them to stand up and dance, but it's the way we play it. You know, you can play da-dee-da-dum, dum-dum, and then nobody will stand up. But when you play dee-da-dee-dum, dee-da-dee-da-dum, and then it goes like that, you know.
Okay. Well, we were recently in Vienna to see if young people are still dancing the waltz. Let's take a look.
This dance school in Austria's capital is passing on a Viennese tradition to the next generation. The pupils swirl and float around the hall in time to the music. The Viennese waltz first became fashionable here in the 18th century. It's still popular at balls and parties today.
I wanted to learn how to dance because all the princesses in Walt Disney could also dance. So I also wanted to learn that.
I think the waltz is either just as easy or just as hard for both partners, depending on how well they master the music and the steps.
To me, the waltz has something Viennese about it. It's a Viennese tradition, and it's lots of fun. It's also one of the most frequent dances at balls.
I think it's a very harmonious dance. It represents Austria. It's part of our culture, like the Wiener Schnitzel.
Whenever someone plays a waltz, everyone immediately starts moving. You just can't help it.
The Viennese waltz is one of the world's fastest dances. It was first mentioned in the late 17th century. It soon became established as a ballroom dance both with the nobility and the middle classes. It's still a hit with young and old today the world over. There are various reasons why it's so popular.
It's rhythmic and easy to dance, turning right or left.
The music is beautiful.
It's a lovely feeling moving in 3/4 time, and it's right for us. We just like to dance.
The compositions of Johann Strauss the Younger made the Viennese waltz a worldwide success. The musician and composer wrote such classics as the Blue Danube Waltz and reshaped the popular image of Vienna. This museum chronicles his work and that of the entire Strauss dynasty. Pianist and music researcher Helmut Reichenau is a co-founder. He spent years studying the history of the Strauss family, which produced so many great musicians.
The
breakthrough came with Johann Strauss the Elder. Around 1830, he went on concert tours of England and France and caused a huge sensation with his waltzes. Then his son, also called Johann, perfected the form of the waltz. His brother Joseph played a decisive part, and together they expanded on the waltz form.
Many original documents are displayed in 7 rooms. Johann Strauss the Younger was born in 1825. He composed nearly 500 works. Not far from the museum is the Vienna State Opera, the site of the annual opera ball. It traditionally opens with a Viennese waltz.
The Viennese waltz is danced especially often at Vienna's balls. We have around 450 of these events a year, practically every week, except in July and August. And virtually every time they dance Viennese waltzes right from the start. It's always the opening waltz.
And waltzing successfully means practice, practice, and practice some more. Vienna's dance schools have no shortage of customers.
So I guess it's fair to say that you are carrying on the Strauss family dynasty with your music and encouraging this popular dance to be danced. Do you think it will still live on 188 years? You think it will still live on forever?
Forever.
Why?
The waltz is forever because it's something that is in the blood of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the heartbeat. Heartbeat goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's true. So you only have to follow your heartbeat.
Now, Johann Strauss, both father and son, and the other sons, they composed their own waltzes.
Yeah.
Do you compose your own music?
Yes, every now and then. But they were genius, and I'm only a musician. So I'm very, very lucky that I can play their beautiful music.
Now, what do you think it is? Is it because the waltz is so easy to dance to that it makes it so popular with audiences?
It's not easy at all.
You don't think it's easy?
No, it's very, very difficult. It's really very difficult.
To play or to dance?
Both.
Because I've heard otherwise.
Very often I see so-called classical orchestras and then, oh yeah, let's play a waltz. And okay, we have 5 minutes, so let's do it because it's easy. No, it's not easy.
But then why is it so popular with general audiences?
I think because of the rhythm. 1, 2, 3.
You think it's because people can count along, even if you're not musical?
And it's very interesting. When I am in the audience, I see my whole audience. I play dee da dee, and the whole audience starts, but one man sitting there, not me, and that's the critic.
Okay. Oh, all right. Then you could.
So it's
all right.
why do I say that? It's a question of let yourself go.
Right.
When you don't want yourself, give yourself to the waltz, and then it's a fantastic music.
Well, one thing that is quite clear to any observers of your concerts is how you bring immense joy to them. And there are scientific findings that music is therapeutic and it makes everyone feel good. So let's take a closer look at a report on this theory.
There we go again, everybody. 1, 2, yeah!
Music gets us moving. It brings a smile to our faces. And it touches our emotions. In short, music makes us happy. And Dutch neuropsychologist Eric Scherder knows why. His book, Singing in the Brain, explains just what happens inside our brains when we listen to music.
One thing that has been described in literature about music is expectation. So the moment you think, all right, this is a very known melody, when that moment arrives, right, then you will find, I will split up the brain a little bit, you will find an activation of the reward system. This is the system that you think, yes, this is what I want.
Reading sheet music and performing at the same time can be challenging. But professionals like André Rieu have trained their brains to master both skills at once, so they can handle both with ease.
You will see that he uses less brain areas, less neural systems for playing at a very high level. That's his expertise. And by doing that, he will remain, a lot of neural circuits will remain there. And a lot of energy will stay there, extra energy. And with this extra energy, he will activate neural systems that will enable him to elaborate.
And that allows violinist André Rieu and his orchestra to put on a truly spectacular show. So how does the audience feel?
Excited and alive.
I'm pretty sure everybody here is happier.
I'm speechless. I don't know. I have no words.
I want to laugh, I want to cry, I want everything at the same time.
Concertmaster Frank Stein's incredible talent also helps things along. He joined André Rieu's Johann Strauss Orchestra more than 20 years ago.
When I started playing violin, you had to look to each finger and you had to think about each bow you're doing. And in studying more and more and more, everything disappears. It just happens automatically. It's like some other part of me is doing all that, and I have my brain free to do something else.
Music can conjure up powerful emotions and help our brains develop. That's why Eric Scherder wants schools to offer music classes.
Concerning the development of the brain, our children, up until 30 years of age, particularly the white matter, particularly in the prefrontal cortex, is still developing until 30 years of age. So to do it as optimal as possible, you would like to challenge the brain as much as possible. And music should be one of those challenges.
Music is evidently much more than just stellar entertainment. So fans attending André Rieu's concerts are not just having a great time, they're training their brains too.
Okay, speaking of people, making people happy, as I mentioned before, you bring tears to your audience. I've seen videos where people are, and I actually watching some of your videos, one with Sir Anthony Hopkins, brought absolute tears to my eyes. It was very moving. You're about, and you managed to do this in Australia as well. Australians are huge fans of yours, so what do you do differently there?
I don't do nothing differently there, but the audience there is very down to earth. And I think we are down to earth also. So we are too normal. You are, how do you say that in Holland? Too normal, you are specially enough. So that's how the Australians are. And there's a click between the Australian audience and our music and my orchestra.
Okay, and then in fact is one of your biggest audiences, concerts took place in Australia, in Melbourne, I believe, yeah?
Yes, that's true. Yeah. No, the biggest was in Toronto.
Oh, but that's in Australia. That's totally different.
Canada.
Well, okay. Are you planning on going back to Australia? Or
yes, yeah, we go now in November. We go back to Australia to give Christmas concerts.
Okay, but you're also planning, you've got a couple things in the mix, but you've got a big tour coming up in September 15th. Tell me a little bit about that.
In fact, I'm always on tour. So it's not that I'm a tour coming up now. The first are the concerts in Maastricht. Then we go, after the break, we go to Argentina, then we go to America, then we go to Australia, then quick back to England, and then to Germany.
Well, how do you keep track of all of this? How do you get jet lag? I mean, who?
Yeah, the jet lag is a point the scientists should find something. That's a difficult thing. It is. It is.
And do you ever lose track of what city you're in?
Always. I'm always asking, where are we? because, you know, the only thing, but that's true, the people ask me, that must be very tiring, but it is not. It is, once on the road, I'm on a holiday.
Okay.
Because the only thing I have to do is, together with my orchestra, we jump in the bus, we jump on stage, we do our music, we go to the hotel, we sleep, we go back. So everything is organized.
Maestro Rio, we are out of time for today, but thank you so much for having us in your beautiful home. And thank you to all of you for tuning in with me, Megan Lee, and Maestro Andre Rieu.
Thank you.